What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Verdependent podcast, where we depend on the Verde and Black for our everyday vibes. This episode is sponsored by AC Momento. AC Momento, your digital sports and concert scrapbook. This week, we turn our attention to the last men's FIFA international window before the World Cup in June. We're checking in on the NWSL and previewing Austin's trip to the new stadium in Miami before closing out the episode, as always, with a stoppage time rundown of the hottest Austin FC, MLS, and World Footy storylines of the past week. I'm Paul Fletes.
And I'm Logan Bartlett.
And bro, let's just kick things off with our preheated takes, because I've got a good one. I think I'm gonna win this one.
Yeah, we won't know till we're 40, but all right.
Exactly.
I'll start with mine. Uzuni, I think Uzuni scores this Saturday. I think one because of his recent play in the regular season, in the Austin FC kit, but I think also, which we'll get to, the last weekend with Albania going the way it did. I think he'll have that vengeance to play with. So I think he scores this weekend, and I'll leave it at that.
For sure. No, I think that's a good shout out, especially going up against, the likes of Messi and the rest of that team in Miami. He's going to definitely want to prove that he is who he says he is. And I think you're on for that. You're absolutely right with your previous statement that we won't find out about this one until we're both 40. But, well, technically, sorry. I will be 36. You will also be, you'll be
35.
30.
Yeah.
35.
Well, I'll be 34 probably when we actually find out. You're old, so.
True. But my preheated take is that Italy will make the 2030 World Cup.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and, regardless of what the score is at the end of this year, assuming I win, because that's what I do when we tally up the preheated takes, even if we're 1 point apart and this is the one that we're waiting on, I won. I'm not waiting 3 years to find out,
I'm always playing the long game. I don't know. I don't know what you're on about, but
fair. You're camping when bombs have been planted and it's just you. You're camping the whole time waiting. Like, oh shit, I have to disarm them. Yeah,
that's it. That's how I play those shooters. But anyway, let's get into some of that international action that we were talking about at the top of the show. So as we mentioned before, this is the final international men's break before the World Cup, and 48 nations descend upon North America. And if y'all remember from a few weeks ago, I think it's Saudi Arabia is the nation that is coming to Austin, Texas. Wrong Verde, but it is what it is, friends. It's FIFA after all. But from an Austin FC standpoint, at least, we had representatives from the first team, which included Mirta Uzuni for Albania, Alexander Svatak from the Ukraine, Facundo Torres from Uruguay, and Joseph Rosales from Honduras. And then from the academy/second team level, we had Irvin Torres with the USA U19s and Nico Aristizabal from Puerto Rico, PR, So let's just get right into it. Lobar, talk to us about our European delegation. How did Uzuni and Svatak fare for their countries?
Well, I'll start with I can't tell you how they did. All I can tell you is how their team did, which was not what they needed to do. Both Albania and Ukraine lost the game that mattered, right? The one that would get them into continue their, I guess if one of them won and the other didn't, they would have made it to the World Cup. If they both won, this friendly would have meant something, and then one or the other made it. Is that what it was?
So they were essentially in a playoff, and if they won, both Ukraine and Albania would be in that final, and then only one of them could ever advance. But both of them didn't.
Turned out that neither of them won, so it didn't matter anyway. And so that fateful game, or what would have been a deciding game between the two countries, ended up being just a friendly. But according to the coaching staff for both countries, it was still a very important game, right? It was that very last chance in this window to prove that they were worthy and that they deserved to be at that do or die spot at the end. But unfortunately for both teams, they did not get it done. And so that means Uzuni and Svatak will be headed home and staying home this summer as well. But in the battle of the Austin FC best 11, right? Uzuni and Albania and Svatak and Ukraine facing off. Ukraine got the better 1-0 win in that friendly match. So, I don't know if they even would have had the, let's say desire to gloat to
Mm-hmm.
each other as teammates, to be like, haha, I got the better of you, seeing as they both just missed out on the World Cup a few days
Yeah.
prior. But, I'm sure for Svatak, it feels good to get a clean sheet and bring that home. And for Zuni, like I predicted in the preheated take, I think, this is a kick in the butt to continue his good form for
Yeah.
Austin and really make the best of it. Um, but yeah, looking on this side of the Atlantic, right, we had Joseph Rosales featured for 76 minutes against Peru as defensive midfielder, funny enough, with a
Mm-hmm.
FOTMOB rating of 6.4 and a heat map that represents his play for the Verde and Black, right? So that's interesting. No matter where he fits on the field, he's kind of playing that style. And then what happened with Facundo Torres, Paul?
Yeah, so for our DP winger, Facundo Torres, he suited up for both matches in Uruguay's colors, but he did not feature in either the 1-1 draw against England or the 0-0 draw against Algeria. So in terms of rest, I feel like he's got to be the most rested of the bunch that ventured out
Yeah,
to represent their national teams. But going back to that point about Joseph Rosales and that
Rosales.
heat
Yeah, yeah.
map. I mean, when you pull that up on FOTMOB, it's just like, the heat stuff. I don't know what you would call that, but like the heat itself, I guess it just like
Yeah,
threw up on the 90, like on the pitch. Cause it's just like, he's everywhere.
he's
And I'm like,
sprinting
that's
around.
kind
Yeah,
of like what he does in Austin. Right. And
yeah.
what he's done, in other teams in MLS, like Minnesota, but there's a large portion of that along the left, which is, funny enough for those of us that are like, hey, he shouldn't be a winger on the left. But anyway,
Right. Yeah, the national team even says, no, he should be.
yeah,
Nico's
right.
got it right. Here we are.
Exactly. But yeah, all that to say, for those first team contributors, not quite the not quite the full team responsibility, like at least at the national level that,
Mhm.
folks like, you think of like Harry Kane for England. It's like he's always starting for both club and country. We're
Yes.
not there yet at that level, which is fine because we need all the rest that we can get.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think as we widen our lens outside of this Austin FC centric, scope, obviously the international window had its fill of dramatics. So I'm just curious, Lobar, did you have any like favorite headlines that you happen to scroll across or happen to watch at all?
Yeah, well, it's funny when I saw your preheated take, I had a chuckle because, I mean, that's the huge headline, right? That Italy missed for
Mhm.
the third year in a row, which for any casual fan who either doesn't follow the soccer outside of the World Cup or just,
Mhm.
follows their league, you see Italy and you think, well, they're going to be in the World Cup every year, right? But you would sorely be wrong that for the last decade plus, they haven't been featured at the world stage. So
Yeah.
it's just one of those interesting things when you think of all the greats that play in Italy and came out of Italy,
Mhm.
and for all the FIFA heads, all the names that you see, um, for them to be in such poor form now is just unfortunate. Yeah, it's one of those things like, man, it's they got to feel bad when you think of like leagues in Europe. Serie A is always thrown around as one of the best in top five. They're one of the best
Yeah.
leagues in the world. A lot of their players are Italian, and yet here they
Mhm.
are. Most of those guys who probably started our age or maybe even a little older, their entire
Mhm.
careers they've missed out on the World Cup, and they're about to retire. In their 30s. Like, damn, what could have
Yeah.
been? You know, so it's unfortunate, but
Yeah.
it's
I did
surprising. And
see. Yeah, I did see a tweet that had me on the floor laughing. Was like, it said Italy is so mad that for the past decade they've been absolute trash, but they decided to like come up to annoy England for the 2020
yeah,
Euro,
right.
and then immediately go back to being proper shite. And so I
Yeah,
was like, bro, yeah, that is some absolute trolling there, where it's like you're irrelevant on the national stage or international stage for a while, and then you're like, oh, I think I'm gonna win a Euro now, and then
yeah.
it's
Let me
like,
just real
all right,
quick.
I'm gonna go back to absolutely just duking myself.
Exactly. Yeah.
um but yeah, it's interesting.
This.
I know for me, I chuckled when I saw this one because for those of y'all Chelsea fans out there, y'all might grimace at this name, or you might not. Your reaction is yours. But
Yeah.
Graham Potter, I'm just gonna say that and let it sit for a second. I don't like that name, but it is what it
Yeah.
is because Graham Potter is Sweden's national team coach, and he just led them, through that playoff series. And thanks to him and Arsenal striker Victor Gokaresh,
Hmm.
they made it past Poland and punched their ticket to the World Cup. So
Yeah.
I think that's going to be interesting for a manager that couldn't quite tap it at the Premier League level in terms of,
Hmm.
at least with Chelsea. He had his success at Brighton, but
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out.
Yeah, and for the Austin FC fans, I'm sure you know this already, but Sweden and Poland were the teams that played Ukraine and Albania for that spot, right? So that was the
Mm-hmm.
final that Svatak and Uzuni missed out on. That Graham Potter led his boys through to the World Cup. It remind
Mm-hmm.
me, yeah, I may be wrong, but was Graham Potter the coach of Chelsea when I watched my first game with y'all? Was that Graham Potter Chelsea? I can't
I
remember.
I think you might have been Tuchel,
Was
like
it
the last
22? Yeah, I
end
think you're right. You're right.
of Tuchel. Yeah, because that
Okay.
would have been the Jorginho,
Yep.
Italian midfielder at the
Yep.
time for Chelsea. Buries that penalty away at Everton, and
Yes. Okay, so it was
yeah,
Tuchel, and then later,
yeah.
we got Harry Potter himself. So that's what's up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then the window is not quite all the way finished. I think right now, actually, let me do something I'm not supposed to do live, but I'm going to go ahead and Google the Jamaican. Uh,
Yes.
dang. Jamaica just lost to the Democratic Republic of Congo. So they're out of the World Cup. They could have qualified with a win, but
Mm.
they are staying at home. And then the final game of the international window is actually happening tonight at 10 p.m. I believe that is Iraq versus Bolivia.
Yep.
And that will be the final team, the winner of that game, that punches their ticket into the 48
That's crazy.
expanded world, team expanded World Cup. It's absolutely crazy, bro.
Yeah. What do
It's
you think Polly Market
between
says?
Poly Market, man. I think they're still laughing that Italy missed out. That's what
Yeah.
I
Fair
think.
enough.
But
Fair enough. I say that
um,
because the first article that comes up when you look it up is the Polly Market trend, and
yeah,
I don't know if these people are dumb or just don't understand, but there's a 32% draw here. And I guess technically the way they do it is after 90 minutes, if it's a draw, that counts and it doesn't count
sure.
extra time, the actual result. So, all right,
Yeah, they
I
flip that
take that
market.
back.
Yeah,
But it's funny that Polymarket does that and not just like, did they win or not? Because there's going to be a result at the end of this,
for sure,
regardless. Yeah. Anyway,
for
funny,
sure. But
silly.
yeah, so yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. I know, looking ahead to the next international, which obviously happens in June with this World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
There's just going to be so much to keep an eye out for. I'm just curious for you, Lobar. I know we didn't have this on the show notes or anything, but I mean, do you feel like we as a country, we as Austin, the city, do you feel like we're ready for the World Cup this summer, or do you feel like there's still more to like build out?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the team or in terms of the fanfare of it, the
I
celebration,
think
or a
I
little
don't
bit of
know,
both.
man. I think it's a little bit of all of that. I
Okay.
mean, the team is going to be what it is, right? But I think also just kind of the mood around it, has it kind of settled in
Yeah,
yet
I
that we're like
think
hosting?
I think everyone, there's so many people that we don't. I mean, the U.S. is such a diverse nation, right? In terms of ethnicity, race, etc., right? And so, like
Hmm.
all 48 countries will be represented here in the U.S. by people who live in the U.S. And then, of
Hmm.
course, the world's going to travel here for the games.
Yeah.
So I think with the popularity of MLS still, the excitement with USL, record-breaking game attendance year after year with NWSL, I think there's enough people in this country that every game is going to be sold out and there's going to be excitement around it. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's tainted by the U.S. national team's dysfunction. We're not
Hmm.
playing well. 5-2 loss against Belgium. We're down at halftime against Portugal right now.
Yep.
Pochettino's already on his way out, looking post World Cup to back to the Premier League or other head coaching gigs for clubs.
Hmm.
Um, it's just that's one thing, and then the other is like the whole ticket fiasco piece of it too. There's just no one can get tickets that wants tickets. It's not accessible. It's the world's game, and no one can actually go unless you have unseemly amounts of money to do it.
Right.
And so of course, there's always going to be some negatives surrounding it, but every game will be sold out. The country and the world together are going to collectively pause and be all in on the World Cup.
Yeah.
And it'll be good, obviously, for the U.S. soccer base, but
Yeah.
I'm not excited about our country's, prospects. Yeah.
Yeah. I hear that, man. I hear that. Yeah, I just thought that was interesting as we were talking about it, and I was like, damn, the next time we talk about international play, it's going to be the actual thing. So
Yeah.
we
2
keep
months.
moving forward. And I guess that's a great time to segue over into our halftime, because who else is moving forward? Shoot, the ladies over in the NWSL, bro.
Yep.
Last week, obviously they had some midweek action last Wednesday. So we had, I think it was Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So lots of NWSL footy, lots of action. Lobar, I think this is the first halftime where I think you want to maybe take a little bit of the reins here on the NWSL talk.
Sure. I mean, I kind of broken into 3 kind of talking points here, right? We have first, we have big wins atop the table, and we have a record-breaking home debut, right? So starting with the first, there were a number of firsts in different categories this past week. We had Denver Summit, right, getting their first win in a midweek matchup against Gotham, 2-0. We had Boston scoring their first goal, but falling to Utah, who got their first win in that match, right? So one team gets their only goal of the year, the other team gets their first dub. And then, unfortunately for Houston Dash fans, they tallied their first loss of the season in a 2-1 loss to Angel City after going up, I believe it was 1-0 at halftime. So a lot of firsts, even, with 3 match nights, I guess you would call it, in match week 3, there's still firsts to be knocked out. And that'll continue for a bit, right? We'll have a lot of firsts because a lot of teams are still winless. And there's, I think, one team that's undefeated still. So yeah. Anyway, what was your takeaway on those? I mean, of course, you watched the Houston game.
I did, man. I did. I think as a Dash fan, and everywhere that I've seen who talks about the Dash, they've kind of echoed this sentiment. But when watching the Dash this year, only 3 games in, there's already an identity that is quickly coalescing around the team that is fun. It's very active in terms of, what it used to be in terms of getting up the pitch. It was very slow, very predictable. But now, I mean, the way that these youngsters are passing and just, the little interchanges in between midfield and the attacking third, it's really cool to see. And the way that they played against, Angel City at home, or sorry, on the road, it was like that could have easily been 3-0 at halftime because they generated enough attacking chances to be up by that point. They just weren't fortunate to finish it off. But looking at the other results across the league, though, I think Denver Summit has been looking really good. I'm trying to remember. Kostler is their top scorer right now. I think she's been 3 goals in 3 games or something like that. So they're looking really good. I mean, your Wave are actually looking really good. They're starting to really turn on. I think they won on Wednesday and they won on Sunday. Is that right?
Yeah. And don't worry, that's the next talking point there. Looking at the big wins atop the table, right? San Diego Wave highlight that as they earn 2 wins last week, vaulting them tied for first place with 9 points on the season so far. They dispatched the Thorns 3-1 midweek, and then a few days later, they shut out Chicago Stars 2-0 on Sunday.
That's right.
I mean, it's great to see because Mel Barcenas, right, one of the teenage phenoms on this club, she scored a goal in both games. Leah Godfrey, another young player who's doing, 24, 25, but still, younger. She gets a goal in both games. So it's just good to see consistent contributors, right, and get a sense of what this attack can look like. Obviously, the defense stout as always, with some new faces, new goalkeeper between the sticks. And then Ludmilla, right, one of the big surprise signings this year. I mean,
Yeah.
she didn't get goals in either games, but she hit post multiple times. She's creating opportunities. She's absolutely saucing teams with like turnaround, one touch, shots like over the keeper's head and then barely getting saved, best saves of the year kind of moments.
Yeah.
So a lot of good attack out in San Diego right now. And then on the elsewhere in the table, we had Seattle Reign, right? And
Mhm.
KC Current, their third loss of the season, and a 3-0 dub that also has them tied for first. So a lot of movement. I think there's 4 teams atop the table with 9 points, including San
Yeah.
Diego, Seattle, Angel City, and I think Portland, even with that loss
Mhm.
against San Diego. So, West Coast is really doing their part and keeping things interesting.
For sure. For sure. And yeah, I think the big headline to come out of this past week was obviously out in Denver when their summit. They hosted their game. I think that was against Washington Spirit
Mm-hmm.
over in. I remember it as Mile High Stadium. I don't know if
Yeah,
it's
what
still
is it
that or
now? I
not.
saw it was a different name.
It's something like that, man. Random aside here, I actually marched in that stadium with the Santa Clara Vanguard back
Really?
in 2013. Yeah, so that was a really cool experience being up there that high. That was really fun. But anyway,
That's
back
cool.
to soccer. Yeah, dude, 63,000 people showed up for that match. I think a testament to what the league has done in order to really
Mm-hmm.
market the new teams to come out and just kind of the growth of the league in general. Really cool to see. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's also, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that's a record for like globally a league match for the women's game,
Wow.
which
Yeah.
is really cool. So, um, yeah, dude, that's badass. But
That's the one
yeah,
benefit of having NFL stadiums, being able to be dual use in that way, right? Is
mm-hmm.
that you really can pack them out and set those records here in the U.S. in ways other leagues just can't. At least not
Yeah,
always. Um,
facts.
so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, we'll go ahead and come right back and talk about the preview against the Inter Miami
Yep.
FC game. But yeah, we'll be right back and get talking to that.
Sounds good.
All right, Lobar, let's get right into the second half, brother. We've got Austin FC returning to league play against defending MLS champions Inter Miami FC. The
Mm-hmm.
head-to-head is actually flattering to us. No thanks to the 5-0 manita that we put on the Herons back in 2022 here at home at Q2 Stadium. But with the Verde and Black on the road for this matchup, playing what many would consider an MLS super team, no thanks to one Lionel Messi, in a brand new stadium, which is also called the new stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Things are going to be interesting to say the least. So, let's just kick it off. How are you feeling approaching this matchup against Messi and company?
Yeah. On one hand, it's just another game, right? Like, yes,
Fair.
the fanfare is around the new stadium. Of course, Inter Miami is one of the best teams in the league. They have one of the best players of all time on their team. All that's obvious. But for the club, it's just another game.
Yeah.
Especially with these Eastern Conference matchups. You get them once every 4 to 5 years if you're lucky, and then you don't play that team again for a long time. I think
Fair.
it's cool that we get to play against Messi because we missed him last time they were in
Mm-hmm.
Austin. It was like he had already signed, but he hadn't come to the U.S. yet or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't get to see him. It's sad for all the Austin fans here in Austin who will never get to see him live because we'll probably never play him again unless the standings and playoffs and final all work out to where we're the number one team and we're hosting the final and it's whatever in
For
whatever
sure.
competition. So on the other hand, I'm a little nervous because there was this idea, at least in the preseason, that this would be the game where we get Brandon Vasquez back, and this would be the game, when Owen Wolf had his surgery, that like he should be back by this game, and all these
Mm-hmm.
players should be back, and we should be at full strength. And I haven't seen any confirmation that either of those guys will be back yet. And now
Mm-hmm.
we're missing Danny P, and now we're, just there's more uncertainty with the roster. Our form is not good historically when it comes to Austin's starts to seasons. I think it's our second worst points wise.
Yeah, I think so. You're right.
And so, 5 games in, I'm not, ready to riot or anything, but it's one of those things like, well, we're not trending positively, right? A lot of guys are out still.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe their recovery is taking longer than we expected, or we're being more cautious. And this is chalking up to be one of those games where it's like, well, do we say it's over before it starts and just say we were lucky to be there and it's cool that we were part of that history? Or do we have that kind of underdog mentality of like, everybody's out, but you know, F it, we ball? I don't know. It's
Yeah.
a little, it's mixed. I don't really care about the fanfare of it. It is just another game, but I wish we were at stronger roster wise going into it.
I hear that. Yeah, I think for me, man, the biggest thing, like you mentioned it, is I've been able to sit and kind of work through these feelings of, hey, maybe we can go out and compete and all these things. But realistically, I think what I've ultimately resigned is that, I think a point at best is what it's going to be. Um, and I think I'm maybe taking a little bit of the spirit from just this international window when I saw, when everything was on the line for the likes of Uzuni and Albania and Ukraine and Svatak. It was like, they had all this stuff to fight for and they still couldn't pull it off.
Yeah.
Granted, that's a big overgeneralization of what that situation was. But here it's like I don't really see us needing to force this. This isn't a must-win game by any means, mind you.
Mm.
Um, and so I'm okay if we are doing a little bit of rotation, because the other thing is, from an availability standpoint, those international players that we talked about during the first half, they're not going to be as rested up, given the travel and then the quick turnaround, for the East Coast matchup. It's like,
Yeah.
do we want Uzuni and Svatak to start and expect it to go well, and Rosales and like Facundo? Definitely. I think he should
Yeah. Yeah.
start. He didn't see much
He
play.
benched for sure.
So there's that, but I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's a bonus game, so let it be. I don't
Let it
know.
be. Right. It's one of those things too. It's when we look at our team so far, right? And because of
Mhm.
those key attacking pieces missing, or maybe that's just one of the factors, we
Yeah.
haven't been a staunch offense. We haven't seen one of those great offensive performances yet. We've seen
Mhm.
pieces of it, and we've seen aspects of what could make a great offense.
Yeah.
But this is another one of those matchups where you look at this Miami team, and they're going to score goals no matter what, even if it's
Yeah.
just a couple goals. Like, do we have enough to overcome a 2-goal deficit with the roster that we have on the road, with
Mhm.
a crowd that will be even more reason to be excited,
Yeah.
with all the fanfare surrounding this game. And so it's one of those formulas. You start looking at it, you're like, well, they're going to score their goals, right? They're going to have the crowd
Mhm.
behind them. They're going to have this 2-week break,
And they
for a
haven't
lot of the
beaten us
team.
yet.
That too, right?
They haven't
And
beaten us yet. So
they
yeah.
already have that chip on their shoulder with the CCC exit,
Mhm.
and they're probably looking at regular season. And I said this already a couple weeks ago, but they're looking at regular season as their target now. Well, let's win another MLS Cup. Let's get the Supporter Shield. Let's get as much
Yeah.
hardware as we can, while also keeping Messi healthy, of course. So yeah, it's one of those interesting equations in front of us where it's like, well, I don't see how this equals out to 3 points for Austin. I'm not going to count us out because
Right.
of that. Even more so, it's like one of those, all the odds are against us. Does CJ Fadri and fucking Rosales and Facundo and Uzuni come on for
Yeah.
30 minutes off the bench and score a goal, right? Like, do these things just happen to be where we come out and play spoiler? That'd be great.
Yeah.
Um, but you made a point, right? This doesn't seem like a must win game to me, or to you, right? And I would agree with
Mhm.
that. It's so early in the season. We have a lot of season in front of us, and at this point, like you said, we have Uzuni and Svatak coming out playing 290s over 4 days or whatever it was,
Mhm.
and coming right back into Austin FC, into training, into a game. Um, I want them to be healthy so that in 2-3 weeks, when Vasquez and Wolf are back, we're not saying, well, Uzuni and Svatak will be back soon, right?
Yeah.
Because they overplayed themselves and picked up a hamstring injury or whatever it was. They have unreal motors, the both of them. I don't doubt that they can come in and play a full 90 and be completely fine, and I hope they do. But
Right.
it's one of those things the coaching staff has to be thinking about with the thinness of the roster already, right? What does our availability look like when we come back home and we have these must-win games, in my opinion, at home in a busy away month, and Open Cup starting and all these things, right? That'll add even more congestion. So
Yeah.
it's not a must-win. The points would be hot. It'd be freaking sweet, freaking sweet. But
Freaking sweet.
But yeah, like you said, it's a bonus game. Let it be. If we eke out a point or even 3, that'd be one of the best results of the season. Looking back in hindsight, when we're top 4 in the table, we'll look at moments like this where the other guys came up and had their game and made sure we won. A cheeky Ilya Sanchez 2 assist game. One of those kinds of things. So
right. I hear that, man. I hear that. So I guess not to bring back that doom and gloom or anything, because I do want to leave it kind of optimistically there and kind of revisit your preheated take, which was that Uzuni is set to score against Inter Miami.
Yep.
So yeah, I think let's leave it at that, unless there's anything else you want to add. But I think it's probably best to go into predictions and maybe talk a little bit about the Los Verdes watch party and see how folks can get plugged into watching this with some folks.
Yeah. So I'll start with my prediction. I think I never want to go out saying we're losing. So I'm going to call a 1-1 draw. Uzuni gets his goal, whether coming off the bench or getting a 60-minute start, and get some rest, assuming he gets rest. I think the most realistic way we get a point at least is a 1-1 draw. And so I think we play spoiler at the big, Chase Freedom Park or whatever it's called.
New Stadium.
Yeah, that one. New Metal Stadium. And then, 1-1 draw. What about you?
I think I'm going to piggyback off that. Well, I could be absolutely evil and say that it goes the way of the Denver Summit, 63K party pooper, where it's a 0-0 draw.
Yeah.
But I do want to have, I do want the traveling fans to have some fun, and I'm sure that they'll have fun regardless. They spent the money and they did all the things, but yeah, I think 1-1, get a goal each team and leave it at that. Walk away with a point. Boom.
Let's move on to nobody gets injured. People get some rest.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Let's move on to home and the LA Galaxy. But yeah. And then if you are not traveling, by the way, you are more than welcome to join Los Verdes and other Austin FC fans over at Radio Coffee and Beer over at the South location off of Menchaca Road. That watch party will start at 5:30 with kickoff starting obviously at 6:30 Central Time. And they have free parking in their lot, and nearby, I think there's plenty of street parking there. I would just make sure you check signage for the details, and then plenty of food options. They've got Veracruz tacos, Shortwave Diner, and Wow Poke. I think if there's any suggestions that you have for that location, Lobar, I know that's a...
Yeah, I would highly recommend Veracruz tacos. They have their grilled fish taco slaps. It's a bunch of food wrapped in a tortilla.
Hell yeah.
What's the other one? They have like a good chicken one. Oh no, it's the shrimp matcha. The shrimp matcha taco goes hard too. I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
And they have a good like cashew queso, like no cheese queso. That's pretty fire.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, Veracruz goes hard. I recommend it.
Dope. Well, yeah, as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on social media or follow Los Verdes on social media. They do plenty of posts about their watch parties as well.
That they do.
For sure.
Yeah, 6:30 p.m. Kickoff, be there.
For sure. Well, shall we jump into some stoppage, my friend?
Let's do it.
Cool. It's a short one, but I think it's worth mentioning out some of these oddball points. Like the first one being that Austin FC sent season ticket members a MLS calendar survey not long ago in their emails. Did you happen to get this email by chance?
Yeah, I saw it yesterday and didn't really read it. I was like, cool, I'll come back to this.
Valid.
But yeah, I don't really know. It's one of those interesting appeals for like help shape the future of your membership experience by sharing your thoughts on something that's guaranteed to happen. It's not like we have a say, like this is happening. So right. I appreciate it. Of course, they're doing their thing. If you could complete it, you get a stay at the Fairmont, spa services. Like that's perfect. You get tickets. a jersey. Like they're just doing their
Yeah.
part to confirm with the league that this was a good choice. I think most would agree it was good and or they're impartial.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out the club for offering a very hefty reward package for participating.
I'll be honest, that's the only reason I did it. I know I probably should have a little bit more sense of civic duty when it comes to these types of things, but I was purely thinking about myself and the
Yeah,
rewards
those Lexus Club tickets and the 2 spa pass thing.
yeah, the spa is where it's at, man. But
Hell yeah, dude.
not that I know, but anyway.
You will?
Moving on, and speaking about that sprint season specifically, the league did drop an article that kind of gave a little bit more insight to that 2027 shortened season.
Yes.
I don't know if you've had a chance to check that out, or
I
for
did.
you, listener, if you've had a chance to get some information about that. But what are your thoughts there?
It's so interesting. Like it has to be done. Our season ends in November, October-ish this season, and then the calendar switch happens in fall 27, right? July 2027. And so they're not going to let us as fans, not going to let the players with their contracts and everything sit for 7 months, 8 months unattended, waiting for the new season to start. And so they had to do something, right? I think it'll be fun. I was very surprised to see that this will still have so many I'm blanking on words. So many implications for international play and whatnot.
Oh,
like
yeah.
all of the
5
international thing. The
5
CCC
CCC
berths
I was like,
from this 14 game season, right? Mini season.
Yeah.
Like it'll all have so much weight still, which I find interesting. Again, it had to be done because they couldn't wait a whole nother calendar year for it to be known what the outcomes are. So it's just an interesting thing. It has so many implications outside of the league that I'm just curious. Like USL will have to, I'm sorry, Open Cup will have to adjust a little bit likely. There's going to be so many other ramifications that come from it, but good to see an idea of it. It's intra-conference only. I find that interesting as well. Not a single inter-conference game. So good to have some clarity on it though. Now we know.
For sure.
But we'll see. Do we know what the season ticket status is for that? Like how will that work? I guess we'll find out more soon.
Well, if you look in that email, brother, they do ask for input there because they offer like 3 different options where I think the first option is kind of that standardized, like just lump everything together. So the 27 season and then I believe the 2028 season after that. Or you can kind of break it up where you would essentially opt to pay for just the 2027 season and then pause, see if you want to renew for the 2028 full season or something like that. And I can't remember what that third option was off the top of my head, but I did submit it, like I said.
Yeah. Okay. I appreciate you.
I think I just went with option
the survey again then because I was hating on it.
That's neither here nor there. But yeah, more information in that email if you go check it out.
Yep.
For sure. Looking over at UT women's basketball, they are taking care of business. Let me tell you, man. They handled Michigan to advance to the Final Four. I believe this is the exact same Final Four from the women's tournament from last year, right? Like copy paste.
Was it? Actually, I didn't notice that if it was. I did see it was the first time that all 4 participants are the 1 seed in a number of years. I think
maybe that's what that was. Maybe it was like all number 1s like advanced from Elite 8 to Final 4. All I know is that, bro, they've been whooping ass.
Dude, they really have
outscoring their ops.
They won the first 2 games by 42 each. First 2 games of the tournament,
right?
And then they went ahead and dunked on Kentucky with a 22-point win, and they beat Michigan by 36, which is pretty crazy. Just absolutely running through this tournament so far. So I'm hopeful that we can keep that going. I mean, the trend is there. This team is really about that. So,
and I think they matched up with UCLA, who they did good against in the regular season. I think they were the only team that handed UCLA their loss, if I'm not mistaken. So if they can do that again,
freaking sweet.
Freaking sweet.
Yeah, I've been saying for a long time, really since, when we were kids watching KD and LaMarcus Aldridge not able to get it done year after year,
Yeah.
even though we had great teams on the men's side. I grew up going to the women's basketball games and then kept that throughout college. And then when I worked at UT, like I would go to at least a few games a year my whole life, and they've always been good consistently year after year.
Yeah.
The women's basketball program has been competitive. And so I'm just glad to see that, we can count on them once again when the men's team let us down. The women's are just serving work to every opponent. So I
Hell
like
yeah,
it.
man. You heard it here, folks. Logan watches women's sports. It's
I do.
a beautiful thing. It's
Yeah.
a beautiful thing.
At least as much as men's sports these days.
For sure. No, for sure. Which is awesome, man. But looking over in Chelsea country, bro, this is I don't know. Did you see this headline, bro? That
I read the
Mark
article this
Cucurella-
morning. Yeah.
This is wild. So Chelsea fullback Mark Cucurella, Spanish international, while away on international duty, gave an interview with The Athletic, and I think did it in a good way, but shared some concerns with the club and sporting directors. Tell us more.
Yeah, I think it was the perfect. I mean, the main headline is that he, with the UCL exit at the face of PSG, what was it, 8-1 aggregate or whatever,
8-2 aggregate, yeah.
That's disappointing for this team who just won the Club World Cup, who had aspirations of carrying that momentum with Maresca at the helm into this season and creating that consistency. They're a young club, Cucurella included. He's only 26. I would say he's younger, for being so successful so far in the Prem. So pretty much him saying like, look, this whole youth movement is cool and all, but when it's year after year, when we were a part of the youth movement 4 years ago, and now we're just continuing with it, even though we're making huge strides in club play and international play, to just continue to bog us down with folks that don't have that medal to show up at a UCL, elimination game and throw down and have that experience and have that wherewithal and know-how and really just experience to come in and do that. He's like, at some point you got to retire the youth movement and bring in guys who are ready to contribute at this level now. It's like, yes, the young guys will continue to get that experience and that's great, but there's got to be a balance. And I think that immediately, fanned the fires of discontent in Chelsea from the outsider's perspective. From my perspective as a fan of Chelsea, I think this was exactly what needed to be said. I don't think he threw anybody under the bus in a way that was detrimental to the coach, to the front office, to the players. Everything he said was factual, right? It's like, he wasn't making a panic before anything happened. Like, they got their ass whooped in Champions League. And that was not like, their aspirations were to win it all, or at least compete to the end. They're out of Champions League, or they're in and out of Champions League positions in the table in Prem play, right? And they were hoping to be like staunchly in the race for Champions League contention. And so they're seeing that they're missing their goals this far into the season now. And so I think he called out exactly what needed to be done. And he even pointed out, like, look, we had an unexpected coaching change in January, and that fucking sucked. And we've had to, rally around each other while also playing 4 tournaments at the same, and having, a lot of guys who aren't used to this kind of scenario on the roster. So I think he did it the right way. And I wasn't surprised to see this. And I think Cucurella is the best person to do it on the team.
I agree, man. And especially given the way that I say Cucurella because he has that chant, and his whole demeanor has usually been that of like, there's levity and not levity, but like there's like a freedom and kind of like this carefree,
always a cause to celebrate.
Yeah. Like he's not one to take things so serious. And so for him to come out and be the one that's like, hey, look, actually this was kind of unexpected. And in the manner in which he said that, it was really good. Cause it could have been anyone else. But I think for it to be him, like you said, I think it really, hopefully, not only did it kind of validate fans' concerns, but now as a player speaking out, it's like, hopefully, that upper management will maybe give some more consideration about the direction that this club is currently going. But
yeah,
enough about that. And let's end with some happy news, which is that Chelsea women's are doing the usual and doing enough to get past Aston Villa. It was 3-3 at half, but they made it 4-3 at the end, and they got their points. So they're climbing up the WSL ranks as well. They do have the tough challenge of facing Arsenal in the second leg of UCL quarterfinals, down 2 goals in the aggregate. So going to be a little bit tough for them, but
no better place to do it than the Bridge.
That's
like,
it.
If you're going to be down 3-1 aggregate, you want to be home in front of 53,000 or whatever it is. Absolutely dunking on the Gooners. So it's kind of like our UT fandom, our Texas fandom. Chelsea's the same way, and we've said this for years now. But you can always count on the women's team for setting the standard for success. With this club. So expecting them to do well, and they're doing well. Obviously they have a big challenge. It'll have passed for the listener, but for us it's tomorrow, with the Arsenal matchup. So I'm hopeful they can get it done, but they have all the pieces to make it happen. So
true that. Well, that's a wrap on Stoppage. And as we always do, we appreciate y'all kicking it with us on this episode of the Verdependent podcast. I'm Paul Fletes. You can catch me on socials at Paul Andrew FC.
And I'm Logan Bartlett. It's a government name. I'm so sorry, dude. I just skipped over the government name piece. What am I doing here? I'm Logan Bartlett. You can find me online at Lobar VHLM.
And keep the chatter going online by following at the Verdependent on socials. I don't know. Did you like that little post that we did with our little?
I like that. I think people got to see a glimpse into our soccer excellence outside beyond the mic.
True excellence. Yeah.
A couple of goal contributions for the boys.
A shared goal. Do you want to share the lore there of the shared goal?
We've definitely talked about this, but I'm moving to San Antonio, and among many things that are changing, I won't be able to play as consistently in our Saturday league, if really at all, that we're part of. So Paul and I have been on the same team for almost 3 years now, right? Something like that. So this was, given our schedules and whatnot, this is probably the last time Paul and I would have been able to play together on the pitch, at least for a while, until we could schedule something else once after the move. So we both went out. Paul's been running 10Ks and prepping for a 150-mile bike ride and stuff. So he's on wobbly legs already. I'm perennially injured in some form or fashion, so I just haven't been able to run as much recently because of knee thing. So we both came in being like, hey, give us 15, 20 minutes together off the bench, have a good old time. So anyway, long story short, we get on the pitch together, maybe 25 minutes in, something like that. We both come on as center backs. We're holding it down, having a good old time. And we get a corner. We earn a corner. And so Paul and I both go up and we're like, hey, casual target men here. Hit us.
Yeah.
I run near post. Paul's holding down the middle of the 6-yard box and
near the penalty spot.
Near the penalty spot. Yeah. And I dart near post and fly through the air, just get a touch off the headband, and I don't even know what it does to the ball behind me. But all I see is when I land, I'm like, oh shit, I almost had that. And I look back and I see the ball hitting the net and Paul running past me to celebrate. And so it was one of those perfect things of like, technically I got a touch on that I felt it go across my head,
Yeah.
And so our buddy
it did thump me square on like this right eye.
You could tell from the angle of it. Yeah, that went far post, and we were kind of.
I made sure to kind of glance back, and I was like, "Ooh, boom!" Yeah,
and the keeper is right between us, trying to get it, and we're just flying through the air.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's it. Man. Shared goal there, little Rocket League power friendship moment. You love to see it.
That's what it is. The power of friendship, brother.
Yep.
Well, cool. Anyway. But yeah, that's how we did that. And if you can, consider leaving a review, like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Share this with a friend. And that's an episode, y'all. Peace.
Paul, why are you screaming at me?
Oh my God.